Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about signs you're in a toxic relationship. Enjoy the show.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment. And thank you for all 14 of our viewers who watch every hour and a half long episode. We appreciate you.
14 and a half, Adam.
14 and a half. That's when I pay attention to half of an episode after I put it up.
Well, I am so happy we aren't doing this episode with you in bed right now, because when we originally started talking about recording this episode, you were like, well, let's just do a whole episode of each of us in bed. And I told Adam, think about that for a second. Doesn't that you and me in bed, basically together on camera? Not in bed
together. It would just
but we would both be in bed.
Both be in bed. Well, also the reason is that you FaceTime me. It must have been early in the morning and I was laying in bed. Or it might have been at 2 p.m. and I was going to say,
let's not say early.
Like, you never know. And I was laying in bed. And so I was already on my side of bed. I was like, let's just record like this. I can just record. I don't have to get up. And I don't know why you had a problem with that. I feel like an in the bed episode would be a funny episode if we both were in bed for it.
No, because it's the way that you phrased it was like, let's do an episode in bed together. And I was like, that is a terrible way to phrase that.
Well, then you're not gonna like my idea when you're in when you're in Florida at the same time, and I'm gonna be like, hey, let's do an episode in bed together. We'll all get master and none. We'll all three cuddle in bed and just do an episode. It'll be fantastic.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you made me sit up because I am still in bed right now, whereas we're doing this episode, because I'm currently at a friend's house in Florida for another night before I head over to Cocoa Beach for a week, and so I'm recording from the bedroom that I'm staying in, and there's not really a desk in here or anything, so I'm in the bed. The bed is the bedroom, and so this is where I've spent the majority of my last week.
Well, I appreciate you keeping it professional for everybody.
I mean, you're lucky I wasn't going to wear a shirt for the YouTube video either. I was just going to just be here just in my underwear like I normally am.
I'm in a sports bra right now, so
yeah. Yeah, Sarah was already bouncing all around before we recorded.
Fixing the tits.
She was reenacting Baywatch. It was interesting.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up.
It's just slow motion. It really was. I wish we'd been recording. It would have been a great little Patreon clip there. I'll say that, or just marketing. It would be perfect marketing, because that's who we want to attract to the podcast, are men who are going to want to see that and then want to join.
But then they're going to realize, oh, I can't be shitty. Never mind.
Then they'll realize it's a trap, and that's it. That's what it is. You're basically the honey trap, is what it is for the podcast. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, it is Sunday, May 1st. I can't believe it's May. Oh, isn't there's some stupid Timberlake thing about May, right?
That's how you share to the world that you're a millennial or elder millennial, is if you share that joke on social media. Yeah.
There's so many different versions of it now too. Like it just, and then it always ends with just his face, and then that's how you like the fact that Justin Timberlake's face is now associated with the month of May is funny. So yeah, May 1st. I have been in Florida for almost 2 weeks now. And
how you liking being back?
I cannot wait to leave.
I see it. Fucking knew it.
It's been great seeing the people that I've been able to see so far, and but other than that, it just has not been. I realize that I really don't like Florida as a whole, or at least the Central Florida area. Everybody's a terrible driver. There's just and maybe it's just the fact that there's so many people here too. I went from being in the middle of nowhere to my first night here, because we haven't recorded since we've been here, have we? Since I've been here? So
yes.
I'm speaking in the royal we, of course.
Since we have been here. Yes.
No. So I got here on like a Sunday, immediately went to Ale House after dropping off all my stuff because I couldn't get into the hotel yet. And that's right, we recorded when I was at my sister's.
I was gonna say we did record.
No,
Yeah.
I was at my sister's and then I was leaving. Yeah. And that Sunday night I went out. I went out and had lunch at Ale House, and then my friend invited me out to the bar to go like hang out with her and her boyfriend, who's the bartender. And I was like, yeah. So I went to Savoy, which is a gay bar, and on a Sunday night, and it was fucking packed. And I get there, and immediately I'm just like, this is too many people. Like, I don't like this anymore. And that has been a recurring theme. Is anytime I've gone out anywhere, I'm like, there's too many people. Like, I don't mind like going to like Ale House and sitting at the bar where I'm not like surrounded by people, just whoever's on either side of me. But just I went downtown the other night and I was just wandering around. I was like, I hate all of these people. Like, I just want it all to burn in just like a atomic bomb.
I think you okay, that's extreme number one.
Maybe a little.
I think you went from isolation station to just basically being in Disney World in one day.
Yeah.
And you
it
didn't
could
have a
be.
slow transfer of, okay, now I'm around a couple more people. Now I'm around a lot more people. I don't think it would have hit you as hard if you would have slowly gotten back into society, basically.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That probably would have made a difference. But it is just, yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed parts of this. I've enjoyed seeing people. I saw some friends. I've been in the movies. I spent a lot of time not doing anything and just doing the same things I do other places where I just relax and work and and stay in bed and watch TV, and that's okay too. I'm really looking forward to going to the beach tomorrow for a week, because anybody who wants to come see me has to come all the way out there to see me, but also it's just me and the beach. And if I just want to go sit in the pool, I can. I don't have to. There's not a lot of people out in that area.
Which let's also talk about Adam's beach going experience that he desires. Adam likes being by the beach, not on the beach. Sand cannot go anywhere near his body or he will flip shit. So he just likes being at a hotel with a pool by a beach, which is fine.
Right.
But it's just funny. You're like, oh, well, what should I get for the beach? I'm like, you mean the pool? You're just going to sit by the pool.
I mean, I might walk to the beach once, but I don't like sand. And I definitely, yeah. And I don't like, I feel like the beach itself is terrible, but like the smell of the beach and the feeling of the beach are great, as long as it's not the feeling of actual sand. That's awful. So yes,
I just love that you were trying to tell me the best beaches in Florida, and I was like, from the person who doesn't step foot on the actual beach wants to tell me about the beach.
I grew up here, so I still know all of the best beaches. Yeah, well, I know, but I don't know. I'm older. That's right. Listen to your elder.
The one time you'll use that.
Right. Oh God. So yeah, I've been. I am looking forward to the isolation, and then after I leave the beach, I'm going back to a hotel again for a week, and I think that'll be nice. And then I hit the road again, and I'll be going through Texas, stopping in every major city in Texas for about a week, and then going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, because I've never been to Oklahoma, as we said in our last episode, and then going to Colorado Springs and then Utah. So it should be that'll be a fun month starting in June, or I guess end of May.
Yeah, and that's when I'll be on the road too. So we'll be at the same time on.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. Once again, we'll be recording at weird times or whenever, trying to figure this shit out while we're both on the road too. Luckily, everywhere I'm staying is Airbnbs or hotels, not like with people, so I don't have to worry as much about it being quiet, which has always been the bigger issue. And I did get to stop in. I stopped in. Ale House was the first person I saw when I got to Orlando, and so that was fantastic. It was nice going back, and I've been back a few times. But I also did go to my favorite strip club. I went to Dancers, which I have not been since before they burned down, and then they renovated over the pandemic, and I have not been there since they renovated everything. So that was nice. I went there during the middle of the day at like 2 p.m. and was there till 9 or 10 that night. And it was did we talk that day?
We did talk that day, because I was talking about, do they have regulation strip poles now? Oh
yes, on my way there. That's right. I talked to you on my way there as I was in the parking lot ready to go in. And it was a fun experience. I haven't gone back since, but it was nice to go back and check out everything. But overall, like, I feel like this more than my last year here before I left here is kind of more of a farewell thing to Florida. Because I didn't really have time. My last month in Florida,
you were packing up all your shit, selling it, it was a mess.
I was going in. I mean, I literally was going insane. Just I wasn't sleeping. I had so much to do. I was so overwhelmed, and stressed and anxious and everything that I didn't even feel like I left Florida until I had been in North Carolina for a week. And so I didn't really have a time. So this is my chance to kind of go out and see things on my own, take my time and do it. And then, if I have stuff in storage here, so at some point I'll come back, but I don't really see the need now to come back again anytime soon. I think I'm about done. So it's been nice to be able to have that type of farewell.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't fair to you the last time. You were, I mean, I know emotionally you were going through it and then stressed. And then you're like, I guess this is my life now. Let's see what happens. And I'm sure it's been nice seeing people, but also knowing that chapter has closed and it's really time to move on once your time in Florida this summer is over.
Yeah, I think this is kind of what I needed, a little bit of every closure of a different type. It's been good. I'm trying to do some photo shoots with friends here, which is nice. I had this whole photo shoot planned. The Orlando Fashion Square Mall is all abandoned, and it was going to be a really cool. I walked around. I went to the movies there. It's completely abandoned. It's like dead. There's nobody there during the week, and so I went back on a Friday, and I was going to take a model and do nude photo shoots, like sneak around a fully active open mall and do that, but. On the week on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're a little bit more active, so we couldn't do it. So hopefully next week when I'm back in town, I'll be able to not get arrested. Yeah, basically.
You really just want to get arrested.
Although I'll just be the one with the camera, so I don't think I'll be actually at risk of getting arrested. So I'll just have to throw myself into the way of the anyone trying to arrest my model.
Anywhere else though.
This is the cool thing is that would be the badass thing is to post these photos of like a nude photo shoot at a mall that is open and active and but nobody's ever there. Like I feel like it's going to be cool, and I'm already telling people my plan. If you listen to this and someone else does this before me, fuck you. I'm just saying that right now. If you listen to this and you do this before me,
I do not support this. You're going to get arrested if you get caught. Do not fucking do it.
Well, you should be my model. Is what you should be.
Fucking great. Like I'm gonna get naked in front of you. No, you are all the way.
You told me you wanted me to do a boudoir photo shoot at one point.
Maybe like 3 years ago.
I think it was like 3 years ago.
It had to be a million years ago.
But you're like, let's do that. Let's do that sometime.
That's because I really wanted. That was when I really gave a fuck about what I posted on Instagram, and I really wanted something for my 30th birthday of something I could look back on and share with my invisible grandchildren. Of look how hot Nana looked when she was 30 or something. But then I never did that, and then I don't know why I asked. It's just because you were taking photos like that and were already comfortable with models, and I was like, well, I trust Adam, but then I was like, actually no, and then I ended up never doing it.
Right. Well, let's not say actually no. Like actually, you wouldn't trust me. Can we reiterate that, please? Okay.
Fine. I would trust you, but I don't want to work with you in the most
that is different. Those are very different things. Yes. I just wanted to reiterate that. You're like, no, then I would. Yes.
You're a trusting person. Just me personally, with our history, and already at the start of this, I was touching my boobs and you were making jokes. I could not work with you.
Yeah, it would probably be hard to do, honestly, because it would be a weird thing to do. Yes. And that would be difficult. But no, I have a couple potential models that want to do this, and so we'll see. They're all athletic. They can run away from the cops if the cops come, so that'll be good.
Yeah, but they won't be wearing shoes.
Yeah, they will. They're going to be wearing heels.
Okay, that's not going to be helpful if you're running away from the cops.
Listen, I saw the new Jurassic Park movie. She ran in heels without a problem. So if Bryce Dallas Howard can do it, anybody can do it.
Oh my God, you would.
Oh man, so why don't we on that note take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Well, now that you're in Florida, I guess it's time for me to go to Florida.
Right, so you'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah, I fly in tomorrow night, which
I guess this episode will be out Friday. So you'll already been here basically for the full week. You're going to be here at that point.
Yeah,
by the time anybody listens to this, we're not doing any DCast meetups, by the way. It's just not really either of our schedules. I mean, it would have been fine with my schedule, but I'm too much of a hermit to want to do it right now. So that's basically why.
Well, where would it be? Cocoa Beach,
I mean, yeah. Why do you say like Cocoa Beach? Like, why do you say it like that?
Cocoa Beach. Did I say it like that?
Yeah, you kind of said it like that. I mean, I would have driven to Altamont Ale House. That would have been fine. But I'm just not in the mood to do it. To be honest, I love all of you listeners. Thank you very much. But I really don't want to see any of you right now.
If I just saw you, that'd be good. Well, your
I'm so
emotional
antisocial right now.
availability, yeah, you're just not social at all. Yeah.
I did see somebody who messaged me specifically. I was like, "Hey, would you have time to go to lunch?" And I was like, "Sure." So we actually went to Ale House and chatted. She was a listener and a TikTok follower, and it was great meeting her. She's actually really fun and fantastic. And give her a shout out. Thanks for spending an hour or two. It was very nice to talk to her. And she's originally from Idaho, and she actually had questions about Idaho. She was just like, so she goes, I was just wondering, like, when did you have the chance to masturbate in Idaho? And I was like, well, you are a dedicated listener. I can tell you that. Like, I know
Do
that
we
you know
have
that
to
part.
talk about you coming again this episode? Damn.
That'll be the end of it. We won't won't talk about that any further. But it was nice one on one. But meeting a group of people right now, I don't have the emotional bandwidth for that type of thing. So and you don't have a rental car or any type of transportation, so you're basically at the mercy of your mom.
I'm stealing my mom's car. Basically, is what she was like, "Don't drive to downtown Orlando when you're here," because I'm dropping her off at the hospital. She works at the hospital. I'm dropping her off at the hospital, and then I was just going to drive to Winter Park or drive downtown and work there
Sure.
for a couple hours, and then pick her up when her shift's over. And I guess she didn't realize it. She's like, well, don't drive downtown. That's really far. I'm like, not from the hospital where you are. That's like a couple, like that maybe 10 minutes from there. She's like, it's so far away. I'm like, Orlando in itself is so far away from each, like other
Does she
spots.
know where downtown is? I don't know. Like, it's not really that far. It's probably 8 miles away. Like, it's not.
Because I left the suburbs of Castleberry, basically. But
that's
yeah,
so far.
So I'm basically just going to take her car, not tell her where I went. Say I went down the street to Chick-fil-A to work there, some crappy Starbucks, and then back home.
Or shit, come out to the beach and you can just you can actually go to the beach and work there if you want.
I could do that, honestly.
That might be too far for her too. But
well, what she's gonna do? She says that she won't, but she'll check the miles on that shit. Be like,
of course.
Why is there 60 more miles on my odometer? Blah 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 blah. I'd be like, because I drove around in circles for 5 hours. I don't know.
I told you to rent a car. Told you to rent a car. Is Master of None not coming?
So yeah, Master of None's not coming. He realized after my mom has called me today 4 times already. My dad called the day before a couple of times, and a few days before. So my parents, knowing that I'm coming and I'm literally will be in town Monday night, they're just calling me nonstop, asking me a million questions, and I'm in the mindset of just fucking text me. It's not that hard. What do you have to ask me in a phone call? And it's really nothing. It's just, what would you like to eat when you're here? Could have been a text message. And they're like, well, I just wanted to talk to you. I'm like, text message. I don't know why I'm being like such a bitch. And I'm like, fuck, Sarah, this is why I didn't want to come back to Florida. Because now I'm going to have to deal with this for a week. And then I fly back and it'll be fine. But Master of None realizing he was going to be kind of stuck with my mom and then at the house for a week because his new job starts the following week. He was like, I'd rather just kind of, I guess he's pretty much just going to chill at the house without me here for a week and enjoy his quiet time.
Solitude.
That's fine. Sure. Whatever. But we're just trying to, we've been having so much sex lately, more than our average. I don't know. I mean, our average is maybe 1 to 2 times a week, but most of the time that's on the weekend. Like Saturday and Sunday is when we're really like fucking it out. But
fucking it out.
Banging it out. Yes, we're constantly fucking
it out.
Fucking it out on the weekends. But for whatever reason, it was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Last night was Saturday. But it's like, damn, like we've hit a lot. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, are you gonna miss me for a whole week? And I don't know.
Well,
I'm not mad at it, but
no. Well, there was been a whole period where he was frustrated about the job search and all these things, and all the stuff was happening that was just kind of like a drain. And now those answers are finally there. He's actually got a start date and all that, and so you kind of feel like a little bit happier about things. And so I'm sure that's a big part of it.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I had mentioned when he got the job and he got a start date, he was jumping around the house, really happy and excited. So yeah,
tying his dick in knots, doing all types of crazy things.
I mean, some of the stupid shit he does with his dick. I love him so much. He'll just whip his dick out and just start like hitting it against things. I'm like, can you fucking not? And he's like, kiss it for me right now. Like, can you please fucking put it away? And he's like, but I'm horny. And then I'm like, no, you're not. A minute later, it's hard as a fucking rock. I'm like, how? Fucking how? He's like, it's because of you. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I just looked at your dick. He's like, that's all it takes. I'm like, oh my God.
It's like you made eye contact with it. It's like, it's like if
you
see a snake
right in the eye,
and you make eye contact with it, then all of a sudden it's ready to strike. Oh my God.
But that's what always, and then I see it hard. And sometimes I'm like, just sorry, that sucks, but please go away and work can't stop. And other times like, okay, let's fuck. That's fine.
I've said multiple times that I feel like following you guys around with a camera would be hilarious for a reality show, but now I realize it'd have to be an R-rated reality show
Yes.
because that's the only way it would work with him being constantly willing to just whip out his dick.
Constantly, just not when he's cooking. I think the only time is just not when he's cooking. He doesn't want. You don't want to risk any
you don't want
grease.
grease.
Or,
Yeah, of course not.
I respect that, but when the kitchen is closed and nothing's going on, that's just getting whipped out all over the place.
When the kitchen is closed, that shit's getting whipped out. There's the quote of the episode.
Oh boy, yeah.
So so he's not coming, and then coming down with you, and then have we told everybody where you're going after this? Have you told anybody?
I think I had mentioned it briefly, but after that, when I get back into Nashville, I'll be in Nashville for 2 weeks, and then I'll be in Guatemala for a month.
Ooh, that's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, so this will be an actual long-term solo trip, just me. So no meeting up with groups or anything. I don't know anyone there. I obviously have booked an Airbnb. I have transportation and stuff just so I feel a little safer, but I'm excited. I'm doing like some cool hiking stuff in volcanoes, and I don't know, going to be working in a co-working space so we can record there, and don't really have too many plans, but my job's cool with me working in another country, so I'm going to keep doing it.
And you're doing my favorite thing, hiking. I mean, that just sounds amazing.
Accidental hiking, yeah.
All the hiking. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Cannot wait for you to live vicariously through all of your cool hikes.
Well, when I visit you in Utah, then we can go on a hike together. Okay?
Right. We can drive up to a spot that looks really pretty and get out of the car. That's
pretend like we hiked.
Pretend like we hiked. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, deal. That's fine.
I'll do a walk, like a flat walk is fine. I just don't want to hike. I'm not a hiker.
That's why I like walking around in Florida, because it's flat. The only problem is it's hot as fuck. Where the difference in Nashville, Nashville doesn't really have that many hills, but every other place, and Master John's like, damn, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you not liking this incline? I'm like, I come from flat. I can do flat. Unless I know I'm going to get sweaty, then I'll prepare for it and I won't have a problem hiking.
Right. I'm actually, it's funny. I'm going to Houston. I'm going to stay there for a week, and I have a friend in Houston that I'm visiting. Looking forward to that. But she's like telling me how much hiking she does in Houston, and
really?
Yeah. See, I never would have thought of it. Apparently, you don't have to travel for much further out of Houston. There are giant hills or mountains of some type.
Interesting.
Which I have no idea what they are. But not that I would do that. I'm just saying that she brought that up as like a thing she does. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. Well, if you don't want to do that, but if you want to find a dive bar and have a drink, then that works for me.
It'd be one thing if it was you were walking into some kind of waterfall. There's a lot of trails like that in Tennessee. Yeah. They're not that there's some hills, but they're not anything crazy. And then there's
I don't mind usually walking there. I just don't want to walk back, like I don't mind getting to the destination, but then I'm done. Like then I'm just like, all right, just call rescue, just send them a helicopter so I can just sit down and fly back. Like that's all I want. I don't want to go back.
Half of the fun is hiking back though.
Fucking fun, yeah, whatever.
No, I feel you on that. You're like, damn it, I'm out of my water. Well, you have to ration your water so you're not out on the way back.
And bring water. Like that's something I don't do. I don't bring anything with me. That's been part of the problem when I went my accidental hike at Yellowstone too. I didn't have anything. Not even bear spray. But I'm gonna get some of that next time I go.
That's so problematic because when we were like around that area at the same time when I went to South Dakota and I went on a hike, I was by myself and I was probably 15 minutes in. Took a couple photos of my tripod. I was like, okay, I'll keep going. I'm the only one out there. I haven't seen anyone enter or exit the trail. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't have any fucking bear spray. This is really stupid. And then I left.
Whereas I wasn't even on a trail. I just went off and found my own spot by the river and just started walking along the river and was looking for bears, thinking I want to see a bear.
What's wrong with you? No, Adam. No, that's how you die.
My plan. That was, that's a way to go. That is a way to go.
That's the worst way to go.
I mean, if you have to go out being eaten by a bear. I feel like at least you're contributing to nature. Giving back is what I say.
Oh fuck. Okay, how do I transition away from this
Speaking of giving back?
What the fuck?
I don't know. We're doing a new thing that we're going to have a new segment on our podcast that's going to be called the DKS Helpline. And so we have a phone number, which is 407-519-0181. That's 407-519-0181. It's a voicemail that any of you can call, and you can ask a question. Ask a question about dating, about sex, about relationships, anything. Just make sure you give us a name or some type of social media handle. And if we choose to use it on air, then we're going to play your question, and then we'll talk about it and answer it. So we want to try to get as many people as we can to fill up that voicemail, so that we have plenty of cool things to choose from and cool questions. And if you're going to ask questions, let's try to keep it, like 30 seconds, yeah, like let's just, don't ramble too much. Try to maybe write down your question before you ask it, because I know how sometimes I will get DMs from people who say, hey, can I ask you a question? And I'll say yes, and then they'll send me 45 messages.
Once upon a time I had a friend who looked like this.
Yes.
He wanted this, and you're like, okay, but what was your question?
Yeah, so definitely try to keep it a little concise.
A detailed story of a situation that you want advice on, then that's fine, but I don't know.
Yeah, let's just, but we're going to use ones that we can actually use for air. So just keep that in mind. But we would really like this. So if you are a dedicated listener and you've been listening for a while, then I would love for you, even if you don't usually like talking on the phone, to please make the effort of calling 407-519-0181 and asking a question. It'll really help us out, and it'll be a new content thing we're going to try out and see if we can get this going as a regular segment.
Even if you just want to call in, say hey, and just say, hey, I've been listening for a while, blah, blah, blah. That's fine too. It doesn't have to be a question. Just show
That's
us
true.
You can also just show us some love if you feel more comfortable doing that. But just know it could be on air. So
it could be on air. So just be aware. Yes, whatever you say, we may put on air. Sarah will probably make fun of it. I'll be nice, because that's how it is.
That is not how that works at all. What the fuck? Oh my god!
I just want to see if anybody would fall for that, but we know it'd be the other way around. Sarah will be the nice one, and I will be the mean one, because that's how it rolls. So yeah, that's a new thing we're doing. So please, once again, that phone number is 407-519-0181, and if you're looking for it on YouTube, it's going to be on the screen. On the podcast, it'll be in the show notes, so you'll be able to find the phone number in the show notes, and you can click it and call.
And we're about to share all of that on our TikToks and Instagrams as well. So if you forgot all those other resources, you can always go to our personal social media pages for it.
And if you still can't figure it out after all that, you don't even know how to play back this episode and listen, then we probably don't want your question anyways.
Okay, fair.
Am I already? Yeah. I mean, figure at that point, you've just proven you don't know how to dial a phone number.
And if you're the troll that we know always listens and hates us, we're just deleting your message the second you call us. So bye.
Maybe. Or if you leave a message, I might just destroy you too. So this could be more than just a helping segment. This could be a Adam roast callers segment. So if we have any trolls that call, who knows what's going to happen? This could be a lot of fun. That's why we're kind of leaving it open. We're going to see what kind of fun could come from this.
Okay. I haven't thought about the troll aspect until I just kind of said it out loud.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then we won't use your name, and we'll just make fun of you so mercilessly that you want to change your name.
Adam, chill.
Fine.
See what happened here? He got a little mean.
I'm getting too excited. I know I'm getting too excited about being mean to people now.
And that's why no one's going to call. So again, if you just want to call and say, hey, love your podcast, my name is blank, that's fine too, because Adam can't roast something like that or be mean. Right, Adam? I'm the one who edits, so trust me.
That is correct.
I'm a little nicer than Adam when it comes to.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I'm not mean per se. You're
just very blunt. I'm blunt too, but we're blunt in very different ways.
Yes, I'm blunt in a way that gets me a bunch of community guideline violations on TikTok. That's basically the way that I'm blunt.
That's fair. That's a good way to put it. Absolutely.
I have found, though, by the way, that my new favorite word that I call people is shit weasel. So
does that not get caught?
No, TikTok doesn't know what that word is, so it's not. It hasn't reached their algorithm yet.
Weasel.
So I call people shit like all the time. I'm like, all right, you misogynistic shit weasel, and so everybody loves it because it's just a new word, and it's been going pretty well. So, and I think it's originally I feel like I got it from like an old Stephen King book that there was a thing called a shit weasel, but I don't even know. So, anyways, I just thought it was kind of funny.
Now that I've switched my content to travel, nothing gets banned. Imagine that.
Oh, imagine that.
I'm like, well, I guess I'll stick on that side of TikTok now.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I really don't. All right. Before we go ahead and get to our topic, I want to give a shout out to some of the new countries that have been popped up. We have, we get emails with, hey, you're popping up in the charts for different podcasts for different countries, for Dating Kinda Sucks for different, the society, culture, relationship category in a bunch of different countries. So actually, Sarah, let Sarah give the
I was
shout
gonna
out.
say,
Why don't
so
you do this?
we have some. Well, if I can pronounce everything correct, now I'm worried about my pronunciation of countries and roasting myself on air.
This will be
Um,
Sarah's audition to see if she's allowed to ever read out countries again.
oh, don't say that. I'm just so you guys know, I can talk and I can read, but I am so
She
terrible of trying
cannot
to
read and talk.
I cannot read and talk while recording whatsoever. We do a lot of stupid takes of me just going, "What does this word mean?" or "What did I just say?" or
Yeah.
you're like, Adam's like, "That wasn't meant to be a question. You just read it as a question." I'm like, "I'm fucking stupid." So anyways, let's do these country shout outs. We have Greece, Barbados, South Korea, Jordan, Portugal, Qatar, Slovakia, Hungary, and Ghana.
Very well
Oh, look,
done.
I did it.
And thank you to everyone in those countries and all everywhere else across the globe listen to us. But apparently they're binging it right now because we popped up high up on their charts in these countries, and we always appreciate having new listeners in all like literally all across the globe. None in Guatemala though, so we'll see what happens when you're in Guatemala. Maybe
That's what's kind
we'll
of
get a
funny.
spike.
Yeah, it's like if I travel to these countries, will we get even more of a spike? That'd be cool.
Well, you were in Lisbon, only a couple months ago, and now there's a spike in Portugal. So you
That's
never
true.
know. Maybe we'll see Colombia pop up in here, and then Guatemala after that. But
That'd be dope.
so thank you very much to all those countries, and we'll be right back with our topic du jour. Don't laugh at that. Why do you always laugh at that?
Topic du jour.
The topic of the day.
That's like DiGiorno. I think this is an important topic because we've talked about so many other concepts like gaslighting, breadcrumbing, love bombing, and defined all of those. But a lot of the times people come to us with questions of like, this example is happening. Is this normal? Or what is this? Where it's not specifically love bombing or any of those other terms, but it's toxic. So I think it's valuable to break down small little things that could be eroding your relationship by breaking down what those are, what to look out for, other than just gaslighting or insert big term here.
I agree, because a lot of the little toxic things might be elements of those, but you might not really see the forest for the trees, for example, and so you might not be aware of the bigger picture of how bad it could be. It's funny that sometimes, like on Reddit, there's like the relationships thread where people will post, "I'm in a really happy relationship with so and so," and then they'll describe the relationship, and like every person who comments goes, "Did you just say that was happy? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" And then, like, that is so toxic. And then just by getting more perspective from people and understanding, this happens on TikTok too, where someone will ask a question, and in their question will be like, "I think you have to have the answer to this." But as you start to learn, as people start to see what toxic behavior is, they realize, "Oh, I have this toxicity, like in my relationship right now. Like this is not healthy for me. What do I do?" And so it's good to have, I think, a breakdown of some of the behaviors and actions that can be considered toxic.
Yeah, it's super easy when you're in a toxic relationship to get lost in the big terms and going, well, that's not exactly how my situation is. So it's not love bombing. That's not exactly what I versus are they lying to you? Are they,
One of my favorite episodes that we've ever done is the one from, it's like 3 years ago now.
Gaslighting
the
one?
gaslighting episode, where in the process of talking about gaslighting, like,
well, because I didn't, but that goes back to I didn't
Right.
know the small little steps of why it was so fucking toxic. I just thought,
and
oh,
as we're
gaslighting,
discussing
it's a
each
term,
step,
cool.
like one by one, like you're sitting there and like, and as it was just crazy, just because you had this realization as we're going through that, oh my god, like I this is happening to me right now, like, and it was crazy because you hadn't been something you had been aware of all the little pieces. And so I think that's kind of a good, like, if you've never listened to that episode, like if you're brand new, I would suggest going and finding it. I don't know, it was like, I feel like it was 3 years ago,
It
right?
was definitely like 3 years ago. Yeah.
So but yeah, it's so maybe listeners will have some, something to take away that hopefully won't be like, oh, now I have to set my relationship on fire, but maybe it'll give you some idea if you are in a toxic relationship.
Well, even if you are in a toxic relationship or you're noticing toxic behaviors, address them. And depending on that outcome, you can go, okay, this is definitely not going to fucking work. Or, okay, we're both on the same page. We can work towards fixing these things. Like I have a friend, for example, who she's now married to him, but very early on, her big rule with him was, do not lie to me. I've been lied to by exes. Do not lie to me. You get like one shot and then we're done. And he had lied to her. They had a conversation about it. And then they never had an issue ever again. And they worked on their relationship, and he was like, okay, got it. Like, I'm sorry. I know my behaviors were wrong. And then they continue to work on their relationship, and now they're married. But she said very early on, I had to set the rules of, I do not tolerate these things happening. If you happen to do any of these things, slap on the wrist and then you're done.
Right. I think that's one of those things. If someone is doing a toxic behavior, does it automatically mean that they're a bad person, or or someone that you can't be with? Not always. It really kind of depends on the behavior, but it also depends, like Sarah just said, on how they if they double down or refuse to acknowledge it when they're presented with the concept that it might be toxic. If it's something where there's a toxic behavior, and you bring it up to them and they are like, oh my God, I don't even realize that I was doing that. That's a subconscious thing. It's probably from my last relationship, but whatever. Like I will work on that. I'll be better. Well, then that's a problem averted. And that doesn't mean that they're a bad person. So that's something to keep in mind as we go through this as well.
Well, yeah. And we've always talked about how we're garbage human beings. We have both done toxic ass things in relationships in the past, but we recognized what we were doing wrong. And now we are fixing them in our future or current relationships and helping other people not do this.
Or just deciding to avoid relationships altogether.
Okay, Adam. Well, I'm trying to be less toxic. I think
you're definitely less toxic than you used to be. No, without a doubt, I would say.
I mean, in the 4 years of recording this podcast, I went from having very strict rules, and like, I think the last episode we did too of rules, I was very focused on rules, and then I had very toxic behaviors when it came to dating. And now it's like, okay, yeah. Everyone's toxic in their own way, but recognizing a toxic behavior, and when you're called out for it, going, oh fuck, I need to work on this, I apologize, and working on it with your partner is one thing, versus going, oh, that's not an issue, I didn't do that, and continuing to do that. Then you're just continuing those toxic behaviors, and you're not actually trying to work on your relationship.
Right. So let's dive into it. Let's go through some of the things that you can look for in your relationship, whether it might be your own behavior or the behavior of your partner, that might be a toxic or kind of a pathway to toxicity.
Right. Well, I had started off with lying from my friend's example, but also just keeping things secret, whether you do it or you notice your partner's doing it in a weird way, could be a toxic behavior.
Absolutely. Like, you don't owe your partner like to tell them absolutely everything about your past, and like you don't have to have that type of trauma done. If you don't feel safe with that, that's okay. But like, in the present, if you find yourself lying, or they're being lying, or hiding, omitting truths or anything like that, then that definitely can be a problem. And that it's funny, but at the same time, when the coin is flipped, you don't owe somebody to like open up your phone and provide it to them either. Like, you still have the right to privacy, but you don't have, if you're omitting things that are important to omit, then that's an issue.
Yeah. They didn't need to know exactly where I was going last night, but you went somewhere they wouldn't have approved of if you would have told them. That was kind of toxic, because you knew that they wouldn't have enjoyed you doing that behavior. Or what, if, for example, strip club, if your partner is like, I don't like people going to strip, obviously you can do whatever you want to do. Maybe that you're not in the right relationship if a strip club is a hard pressed rule, but you know what I mean? Of like, if you're doing something that would get you in trouble, or they wouldn't approve of, or they'd be upset about, and you're just like omitting it, well, maybe that's a bigger conversation of your relationship in general, though, because you're not on the same page.
And not only that, but that also leads to kind of another type of toxicity. It's a more general thing, like lying and dishonesty, which is kind of jealousy and insecurity. And if you're lying or you're omitting truths because your partner is constantly jealous or insecure about things you're doing. So even though you like the strip club, for example, you don't tell them because they're insanely insecure about the strip club. Well, then that's something that both of you guys need to really sit down and talk about, because there's a problem there. Like, it's whether it's their insecurity, why are they insecure, or why do you have to lie about it? If you're honest about it, is that going to end the relationship? Like, that's a whole element of conversation you have to have. If you have to lie to keep them from being jealous or insecure, then there's a problem there.
And that might not be a good match. I'm just saying this out loud of, if you're like me and not super religious, but you're dating a super religious person who doesn't like strip clubs, I don't know if that's, and then you're omitting those truths and not telling them, you might not be in a good match of a relationship to begin with.
Plus, someone super religious is a red flag anyway. So anyone who's super religious, how hard do you want to be with them in any way whatsoever?
I knew you were gonna say that. I mean,
but let me give you a non strip club example.
Okay,
actually.
okay, let's move.
Because like that gets in a whole extra world of purity culture and all that stuff. But let's just talk about my ex-wife, for example. When she and I were when we were married, I had to lie about things because she would get so mad. And she would get mad even if it was something out of my control. Like, for example, if I had like a credit card where it got flagged for fraud by accident, so they stopped allowing, like we had to get new cards. And then she went to go shopping with her friends and went to use that card and it was declined. I would bear the brunt of her anger on that because she would just be embarrassed about in front of her friends. I was trying to buy things. I was trying to buy lunch for everybody and it got declined. And I would have to basically not even lie, but I'd have to essentially, it was my job somehow to make her feel better, even though it had nothing to do with me. It wasn't my fault. It was a complete thing that I'd already fixed and had new cards on the way. And, and I'd have to come up with something just to make her feel better, And so that was the type of thing that was not healthy. It wasn't healthy because I was trying to cater to her attitude and her issues rather than standing up for myself and being honest and just being like
saying it's not that big of a deal. New cards are on the way. Get over it.
Nobody's going to think you're poor because a card got declined. Just say, oh yeah, it looks like there's a fraud thing. Use another fucking card, and I didn't say that. And so, I think that's another example of kind of lying to feed something or being dishonest in a way because I was bearing the brunt of her anger.
Well, if you're also lying because you're fearing retaliation like that or physical retaliation, then that's toxic too.
Yes, of course. Anyway, any type of physical altercation whatsoever is automatically toxic behavior. Any type of on either end, well, woman to man, man to woman, woman to woman, man to man, like it doesn't matter what type of relationship you're in, or non-binary to non-binary. Like anyone who is physically abusive to another person is an immediate that's not a toxicity that you should even try to work through. In my opinion, that's one that you walk away from if you're in a place that you can walk away from it.
Yeah, I know that's like further down on our list of things to talk about, but when you're doing things to avoid negative reactions like that, you're in a toxic relationship and you need to find a way out of it, especially when it comes to violence.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. And get away from like getting kind of maybe back to maybe the ones that are a little more subtle too.
Yeah.
When you feel a lack of support. If you don't feel like your partner is like your partner should be kind of your cheerleader. Like when you go on, when you get a promotion or you get a new job or something cool happens, you should want, the first person you say, maybe not the first person, it might be your best friend and then your partner, but like you should really want to tell your partner, and you should want to tell them because they're going to be as happy for you as you are. And so if you don't have that type of support, that's a hint that there might be some toxicity there.
Or if you don't feel like you have the support to go to them with issues that you're facing, not in a therapist aspect, but just to talk about your day and going like, hey, what's your advice on this? Or like, what are your thoughts? And you don't feel like you can go to that person because they're going to be negative or they're going to roll their eyes at you talking about an issue to them. That's an issue as well, because like you said, you want someone to be your support system, your cheerleader, someone that you are excited to talk to about things. And a lot of the times too, with the lack of support, it could stem from jealousy of you don't want to share things with them because they could be jealous of, say, you're getting promotions at work or great things are happening to you and their lives are just kind of stagnant and they're wanting to be experiencing success like you are, but they're not really happy for you, then that could be toxic.
Absolutely. It can be hard because obviously they have to work through their own emotions if they're having a difficult time, but you don't want them to put those aside just to be there for you, but you want them to consider that, that you did something or you have something that you're proud of or something that you want, like you want them on your side. And if they're not, and then that could be a support in other ways too. Let's talk about that. Maybe something happens at work. And let's say like, you're a woman and a man says something shitty to you at work, and you go home and tell your husband, and instead of saying, well, that's awful, I'm so sorry you went through that, he goes, well, what did you say? What did you do?
Yeah.
well, does this happen? Like, I'm sure he didn't
Or
mean
it's
it.
your fault. Or why are you being so dramatic about that? It's not that big of a deal. And being negative towards you, trying to confide in them and show trust in your relationship, and he's or she is throwing negativity your way, that's toxic.
Anything where the person isn't immediately listening to you and being like, I'm on your side, will tell me the whole story and just listen without judgment, and can sit there and say, well, that's awful, how can I help you with this, what would you like me to do with this? But when people do all said, well, what did you do to deserve that? That's this like kind of victim blaming shit. That means that you don't have support from that person, so you can't tell them because they're not going to take your side. And it's funny, my family is kind of like that. Like, I feel like growing up, it was one of those things when something happened, it was always, well, what did you do to deserve that? Like, whether it was
Well, that
like
makes me sad.
well, it was usually like, I mean, for me, it was probably because I did something to deserve it, to be 100% honest.
Oh god.
But like, it would be something like a teacher got really mad at me, and instead of saying, well, they're an adult, you're a child.
Well, that's different. That's a little different.
No, it's not. They're an adult and I'm a child, and they got so mad that I got something like I was in a private school. We had like a paddle and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
and they so they had corporal punishment in that sense. Yeah.
How the fuck did? Oh, okay, side note. How the fuck did you go to a school like that? It's so funny how you
Private
are
Christian
now.
school.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But I'm 8 years old. I'm a little smartass, but I'm 8 years old, and this is a 35, 40-year-old person, and they don't have the maturity to handle the things like that. Or even if I'm in high school and there's a teacher who's supposed to be the adult, my parents would always be like, well, what did you do so this teacher did it? Instead of saying, regardless of what you did, the teacher's still the fucking adult and should act like an adult. See, that's the better answer.
Yeah.
And even though, yes, maybe I did shit, and that I made them lose their top or whatever, and so that's the thing, that I didn't feel like I could tell my parents, so I had to lie. That's why I was such a I'm a manipulative person, because I had to lie about everything. It's like I got the trouble all the time, and half the time it was my fault. But even then, I didn't realize till I was older that I should never be taking the blame for what adults decide, because if an adult does something to a child who is like that young, that's the adult's fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, that's why it was sad that when you were like, your parents always said that, because it's like, damn, like some blame. I don't know.
yeah, well, because I feel like they knew how mad I made them sometimes because of the shit that I said. Like, I was such a smartass. Like, I mean, imagine me now, but just coming from but the same brain coming from like an 8-year-old. Like, essentially is what it was. Like it was it was pretty bad. So I feel bad for my parents sometimes, just because.
Moving on. We already touched on safety and violence, but also just bringing that in again, of you feel unsafe around them, whether that's saying no to them in the bedroom or an argument that could get escalated into more violence. That's toxic. Watch out for those behaviors of any. I think a lot of this, and this is like going to be my takeaway, is any gut feelings of something's not right here. It's probably not right. And it needs a conversation, or it needs a resolution of, this is not working. I can't be with somebody toxic.
Yeah, I agree. You have to listen to your gut, and sometimes you don't. Your gut might say things that might be subtler, and this is kind of these are small things, but if you always feel the need to only post amazing things on social media about your partner, like you never would dare criticize them in any way whatsoever, but you post these things like over the top. Like, anytime I read somebody doing that, I'm like, oh, they're covering. Like, they're basically covering for someone being a shitty spouse right now, and they're posting this because they feel like whatever just happened in their life is about to blow up, so they're trying to like butter up their partner
By posting publicly to make it seem like everything's
Such a
fine, so
wonderful-
that they don't explode.
right. Or I remember dating someone who was also dating someone else at the same. She had a boyfriend, but she and I went. Yeah, she had a boyfriend, but she and I were seeing each other constantly. I would drive over to Cocoa Beach and see her, and her boyfriend was just a piece of shit. He just didn't do anything ever. And so we were hanging out. She'd come over and stay the night with me and everything like that, like all the time. Like, it was very weird how she even considered herself dating them. But then they had been together for like 6 years, and she refused to break up with him, and I couldn't figure it out. And I was just completely emotionally immature in that sense, and I was willing to enjoy my time with her. But then there was this one time where he made her breakfast. Now,
Okay.
I knew for a fact that this was the first time in 6 years that he had ever done anything like that for her. So to me, it's doing the bare fucking minimum, because I had done that a dozen times.
But what's wrong? What's wrong behind
Well,
why is he doing that?
in my case, it was just he had done it because I think he just woke up one breakfast and she happened to be like, he just basically made her breakfast.
Oh, okay. He wasn't trying to
But
cover himself or something.
She posted this amazingly glowing thing on Facebook about how wonderful my boyfriend is, that he made me breakfast, and such a sweetheart, such a, was just such a great partner. And I'm sitting here knowing all the details behind the scenes, and it infuriated me. And I actually stopped talking to her at that moment. I was like, you know what? I'm done with that. Like, I've made you breakfast like a half a dozen times just because that's what you do. Like you make coffee in the morning, like it's a thing. And she acted like this was like just because he was so terrible.
He was going above and beyond by making breakfast.
And so when people do that type of thing, when people overcompensate for like their spouse, oh my God, he finally swept the floor once in 10 years, and you have to write a fucking Facebook post about it, you're in a toxic relationship.
I just think people sharing too much about their relationships on social media shows that they're in a toxic relationship.
It's kind of hard when we have a podcast where all we do is share every intimate detail.
Well, we're talking about like but it's not always the good and the bad. It's
no, it is. It is the good and the bad. It's a balance of both. You mean?
That's what I meant. It is the good and the bad. It's not always just the good.
Right.
I mean, but even just posting on social media. How often do we post, even you, posting about people that we're dating on social media? I'll post Master of None if he's there and wants to be on, but it's never a post of, oh my God, we're so happy together, the best 2 years of my, like even our anniversary photo that I posted, it was just like 2 years dating him. Cool. It wasn't, these are the best 2 years of my life, and I can't imagine a life without. There's a level.
There's a level. Well, I imagine if he was a little bit more of an Instagram husband at the same time that he was your boyfriend, that it might be a little different. If he was more into like taking photos and stuff like that, you might be more willing to post. I might have posted
just love this man so much, blah blah blah. But it wouldn't be to the extreme of, wow, he, like, I don't know. I post occasional things, but it's not a long written Facebook post about how great my life is with him, because I know how good it is, and I really don't need to share that with everybody. I mean, I guess I am now, but it's different when I think it's different when it's a Facebook post or an Instagram post of.
I think it's I think it's what it is when it's this like obviously overcompensating thing. Like it's just, especially if when people in your real life know what it's really like, and you're posting things that are lies essentially, because you're trying to like almost like do the secret.
Everybody.
Well, it's like, yeah, or like in the secret, just imagine it. So you're trying to like put it out in the world that you have a great relationship, hoping that it'll actually come true. But if you have to do that, if you feel like you're in a place where you have to kind of fake it, that's a toxic relationship. If you're faking it on social media because you're so miserable, then that's absolutely toxic. And then your gut is obviously telling you that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in one like that before. Of, I want to post this, but he could get mad, but I'm going to post it and post something sappy because I want people to know how happy I am. Why are you doing that? Because you're deep down, you're insecure that you're really not happy with that person. And
didn't you date somebody like didn't you want to date with somebody where they were upset that you posted something, or am I
I don't know.
Is that imagination? Like,
keep going.
It was just something like you posted, just like it was a cool shot of somewhere where you went or whatever, but they were kind of upset that you were posting on social media. I feel like that was true, but I don't know if that actually, if that was just somebody else telling me a story, or if that was something we talked about.
I don't think that's anything that I've ever experienced.
Okay,
I think I've dated people who were annoyed at the fact that I post so much on social media, and I'm like, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And because of that though, and they were annoyed by it, I was like, this is not going to work, because I'm not going to change my behaviors because of you. Like, that's just a non-negotiable. I'm not going to stop posting on social media because you don't like it. But if you were me in that situation and feeling insecure and really wanted to date someone and felt like you were grasping at straws for a relationship, you would stop posting and doing the things you were doing before dating them just to please another person. That's toxic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you should be able to do what you want without worrying that you're going to incur somebody's wrath. That's never healthy. And then the other coin, the other side of the coin. Now, we've done a whole episode on social media and how it relates to relationships, and that might be worth listening to for like a broader discussion about this, because we really get into the nitty-gritty details of it. But at the same time, and there are exceptions, if you feel like your partner is ashamed of you in the sense that they are almost hiding you in social media. Like they never talk about you. They never post. Like they post other things. They post, they post when they go out their brunch. They post when they're with their friends, but they never post about you. That they refuse to even. They used to have their
Exes on there, but they crop
yeah,
you out now. That's
or their Facebook relationship status, like they used to do that, but now they won't. Like if their behavior changes in a way that it feels like they are trying to hide you, that's very toxic. And like I said, there is that other side of the coin, like with Master of None, for example, who doesn't really use social media. So the fact that he doesn't really post anything about you is not like that's not.
he's never posted
yeah,
anything, and
he doesn't really use social media. Like so, it's not a thing that it's not the same thing. It's only for people who use it in a different way, but won't incorporate you into their social media usage in that sense.
right. Yeah, if they don't post and they never posted, then it's not an insult. It does feel weird not tagging him and stuff, but that's mostly because his username is disgusting, and I love him, but I'm like, really, I'm not letting my aunt and uncle see your username. But
Oh my god, I just love that he just basically his social media presence is like a
it's just a meme page.
14-year-old 4chan boy is what it is half the time, and it's so fucking funny to me because he just never changed it from back then. Like he's basically that's kind of what it is.
He left it, thought it was funny, and that has no need to change it, even
Right.
knowing he's and that's the difference, is he's very supportive of when I go viral on social media. He's very supportive. He pays attention to going like, oh my god, that's the most views you've ever gotten onto TikTok. I remember when you were excited about this. He pays attention and is excited for me, but he just doesn't do it himself because he thinks it's stupid.
Right.
And that's
Just
fine. That's fine.
fake internet points.
Yeah, exactly. It's all internet points. Anyway.
Let's see. So getting into gut feelings. Oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, a lot of these, there's always some kind of drama around if there's social media issues going on, you have drama in your relationship. If there's lying, there's drama in your relationship. I think if you are in a relationship where it's just a cycle of them getting mad, you guys getting in fights, there's always some kind of drama, you telling your friends, like constant, like you're still in high school dealing with bullshit high school drama, it's a toxic relationship. You should not be fighting or arguing with your partner nonstop and saying that it's healthy. Sure, you can have arguments every once in a while about certain important things, but if it's really petty shit that you're arguing about all the time, and then it's just this constant drama cycle of he's talking to this girl, he looked at a girl this way, and I'm mad at this, and he's mad at me for this, you're in a toxic relationship. You are both not good for one another. You both need to seek some kind of therapy and not be together.
Yeah, the need to have the drama for both of you is always frustrating. I see people who do that. They fight constantly, and I'm like, you don't even like each other? And they're like, well, but just when it's good, it's so good. I was like, yeah, fuck that. Like,
and they're posting that on social media.
Yep.
It's their drama on Facebook because they're posting it on Facebook, and then when they're happy, and I say that in air quotes because they're posting about it on Facebook, and you're like, this is toxic, all of it.
Yeah, I've had to cut out friends like that. I just like, I'm done. Like I can't be your friend because I can't continue to be your support every time you get in a fight with it, and then you won't walk away, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, we're great again, I promise, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, go be in your own little drama bubble, and that you're both toxic, like, because at that point they really are.
And here's the thing, it's okay for your relationship to not be exciting at a certain point in time because your lives are just kind of coasting right now. There's moments of peaks and valleys and lulls and whatever, and that's fine. But it doesn't have to be a constant fucking roller coaster of good and bad and good and bad. Like Master of None and I, we coast a lot of it. Like things are not so good, then things are good, and then we're just kind of, day to day, everything's fine. And that's okay. Being in a relationship doesn't mean every moment is happy, and you should not want to be in a relationship where every moment is terrible.
But it's like being single. It's like anything in life. Like when you're single, you're going to have moments where you're happy, moments where you're upset about things, and moments where you're just kind of coasting along. And that's how a relationship should be too. There should be no difference in those. It's a relationship. Just because there's another person there doesn't mean it should always be like these amazing highs on things, because that gets exhausting as well. You want to have some moments where you're just calmness and just be able to relax in the moment. And if it's all drama, then it's all garbage.
Yeah, you should be happy just doing simple things with your partner. The end.
Another big element of toxicity, and this is also one that like could do a whole episode on, is the concept of consent in general. Just to say this, very clearly, if you are in a relationship with someone, you do not owe them sex, like just because you're in a relationship. That you have the right to say no at any point. You still have total bodily autonomy, whether you're married or not. And believe it or not, actually, marital rape was legal until I don't know how long ago, but it's recently become prohibited. But it was actually considered acceptable for a husband to rape his spouse, essentially, and not and coerce or whatever, and not need consent to have sex in a relationship. And even though that was legal until recently, it was still toxic. If at any point in your relationship you don't feel like you can say no to your partner, then you are in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, I second that. I didn't realize that was a recent thing. I just
Yeah, I wish I
yeah.
had I wish I realized I was going to say this, and then I would have had the. I would have, but I never know. I would have had the numbers in front of me, but it's something that happens. It's a big issue. There are whole TikTok accounts of these men saying basically that once you get married, that yes, that's what women owe you, is the sex constantly. Like this guy just recently did this thing and said, ladies, you should never say no to your man once you're married. Like think of it like being a car. You don't like the taste of gas, do you? You're not going to drink gas, but you know what gas is good for? The car. So
Oh my
when
God.
your man comes home, you should have a sign that says, premium unleaded, open 24/7, and stuff like that. And like it's just essentially, yeah, it's
That's
completely.
a toxic person,
Yes. Oh
obviously.
yes.
What the
Yes, so
fuck? Who
toxic.
thinks that is a good thing to say out loud, records that, and then posts it on the fucking internet?
Thousands of men who also commented
What the
saying, yeah,
fuck?
he's telling the truth. Oh yeah, preach it, king. Like all these men who just think that they're entitled to sex because they're in a relationship. And so I think it's very important for our women listeners to understand, and probably non-binary listeners as well, that if you are in a relationship, you do not owe your partner sex. And if they are coercing you, if they are pressuring you, if they are guilt tripping you, or anything, and they're not trying to understand why you don't want to have sex, they're not trying to ask what's wrong. They're not trying to ask, if there's something they're not like, they don't wash their ass and you're sick of the smell or whatever it might be. Like,
Oh
which is
my God.
probably what it is
Fair.
80% of
That's
the time,
fair.
let's be honest,
Yeah.
but like whatever it might be, and they're not trying to find out the source there and try to work with you and communicate, but they're just trying to blame you for it and guilt trip you into having sex. That is a toxic relationship. And that is a key element of toxicity, because you were losing your bodily autonomy and they are not respecting consent or your boundaries.
And they're probably a narcissist as well, because they're
Yes.
they're the one who needs to be pleasured in the relationship. They don't give a fuck about you. You're just there.
It's exactly right. You're essentially just a hole for them to fuck. Which is terrible. And so that is a
Well,
big
but
element of
like
toxicity.
something is, I'm not saying simple, but something like that has all of those other points that we've already mentioned.
Yep.
They're jealous about shit. They don't, they lying to you. There's drama. They're going to neg you. It's all of those things, probably, if they're doing that one thing.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when coercion and guilt tripping and stuff is it's all manipulation. But it's been amazing. I've done videos on this, and I've seen women in the comments say, like, I didn't even realize that I could say no, like, until recently, when I've been seeing all these TikToks with from people saying that that's not okay, and they really didn't understand.
Well, I think part of it is you're afraid to say no because you're worried that they'll just end the relationship. That if you're not having sex with your partner constantly, they're going to be unfulfilled in some aspect of the relationship, the bedroom aspect, and they'll go somewhere else to get it where they can get it consistently. So you say, okay, this one time I'm not really feeling it, but fine, we'll have sex. Because you're afraid of the no, and you're also afraid of them leaving you and lashing out and saying, well, I'll just find someone else, and then cheating on you. But if you have those feelings, you need to talk to your partner about them, because
Right.
they might not be that toxic, right? I mean, let's give them the benefit of the doubt right now. But then if they start shitting on you after you bring it up, then you're like, okay, I need to get out of this. It's hard though when feelings are involved and you feel like there's trust
Yeah.
and something in the relationship.
Well, and I think part of what you said too is that if they feel like it's lacking in the bedroom aspect of the relationship, and here's the flip side of it, is that if it is lacking in the bedroom, the chances are that usually the woman is feeling that it's lacking in the emotional side of the relationship. They don't have a partner. They have another child who wants a mom, who wants someone to clean up after them, who wants to, be fed, and wants to, doesn't want to contribute around the house. And so they have another child. And so the emotional aspect of that relationship is not being fulfilled. But yet it's the women that feel guilty for not having the physical aspects fulfilled, when the man never feels any guilt over not having the emotional aspects fulfilled.
No,
And
because
that's the problem.
it's the woman's fault if she's not wet.
Right.
It's the woman's
of
fault
course.
if she says no.
Yeah.
It's the woman's fault for feeling emotionally disconnected in the relationship. Like, it's always that,
Right.
instead of the man in this scenario going, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't she excited? Instead of asking, why isn't she excited to have sex? They're going, well, you're going to have sex with me.
Yep, exactly. So lots of toxicity there. And a lot of, but that's a lot that would, like I said, we might be able to do a whole episode on just why that's like filled with all these issues.
I mean, you already touched on a lot of other things that are toxic. They don't sweep the floor. Oh, they swept the floor this one time. Ooh, yeah. And now they're not participating in household activities. I don't know. Another one for me is really just shitting on you all the time and putting you down. Which
she
is
doesn't mean literally, by the way.
Not should I clarify? I guess.
I think so. We just finished talking about sex, and you're like,
she doesn't shit on you.
She doesn't. Yeah.
But if your partner is constantly just putting you down and then belittling you and being negative, and we already touched on that too, it's toxic.
Yeah, the making fun of you, it can be fun when you guys are like teasing each other and like there's a fun way to do it. But if it's a constant thing, then it's definitely an issue.
There's a line.
Yeah,
there's a line. I
had somebody on Cameo asked me to actually, I think did I talk about this, hire me to actually talk to her husband. Yeah, talk to her husband, because he was like joking with his friends on Discord about her while she was also on there.
What?
And yeah, he was just making like a joke, and I don't remember what the joke was, but it was just something like, what games does she like playing, because she likes to play games with them too. And her husband was like, she plays mind games, and then like started, kind of like basically just this stupid old husband wife trope, like, yeah. And she tried to explain why that wasn't okay, and he didn't understand it. And you have to be like, it's different to have some like gentle teasing with each other. But if you were trashing your spouse and you're figuratively shitting on them, then that's not okay. Like it's not you liking them, and it's not your sense of humor. It's not, oh, you just don't get it. It's just you being a shitty person. Because a lot of times, here's a good test for this, by the way, and we'll say women, because I think this is more, once again, men doing this to women. If he says, oh, it's just a joke, ask him to explain it. Be like, oh, what's the punchline? Like, well, where's the, like, what's the joke part? Is the joke part that I'm a bad spouse? Is the joke part that I do this?
I'm
like,
stupid. I'm ugly. Yeah.
Where's the joke? And they will get so frustrated and get so defensive, and they'll get shitty. And that will tell you that it wasn't a joke. That until you have called them out on it, they really didn't have an answer for that. They thought they were just, going to try to insult you and be okay with it. And that's a good way to try to really point out, unfortunately, that they are very toxic.
It is sad, because there are times where you make a joke and you take a joke too far, and then you go, fuck, that was fucked up. I'm sorry. I didn't, you catch if you take jokes too far.
I've done that to Sarah a dozen times over the last 4 or 5 years. And she gets so mad at me.
But then you go, oh, fuck, I fucked up.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have said that. That's not what I meant by that. I thought we were just having a fun banter. I didn't realize, my bad. And then it doesn't happen again. Until it happens again, where Adam edits another one of my photos to make a joke out of me. And then he's like, fuck, it's been over a year. I forgot. My bad. I won't do it again.
It's like I get my annual joke in, is what basically happens. But
he knows now. But that's the thing.
Yeah, no.
You're willing to be honest and go, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And just communicating that, of going, nobody's perfect. Everyone exhibits some toxic behaviors every once in a while, but being able to have a conversation about it, realizing, hey, I fucked up, is a good step forward, knowing that you're not in a toxic relationship, because you can work on that behavior and recognize it.
And a good sign, another sign of toxicity, is if someone gets overly defensive every time. Anything that they're called out on, they're never willing to listen to it. Instead, they just get angry about it, and they try to turn it on you, and all of this. Like, that defensiveness that's emotional unhealthiness. Well, it's emotional. Sometimes it's manipulation, but I think sometimes just someone who's emotionally unhealthy, and they haven't even processed this shit well enough to be able to be to talk about it, and so they get just purely defensive like a child. It's just like an immaturity thing, but
Well, yeah,
it can be toxic too.
some people always want to be the worse off in every scenario of going, oh, well, I only got like 6 hours of sleep. Yeah, well, I only got 4. Or what? Yeah, I'm worse off than you. Or oh,
Right.
don't come attacking me. And it's like, okay, I was just sharing a story. No need to get upset over what I said.
Or
Fuck.
if you say to your partner, "Hey, that joke you said really hurt my feelings," and all of a sudden they go off on this whole defensive rant, then they're just trying to make it about themselves and not willing to actually be a better person, and that is very toxic.
What else? What else? What else?
There's a couple more things. Let's see.
Well, I already kind of touched on this that they do nothing wrong.
Yes. That's
Where
the kind of the defensiveness too, right? Isn't it? Where
yeah,
like they're always like, oh well, like they always try to turn it on you as well.
yeah.
I think if they keep all the finances and they like, but like on a strict thing, and like they won't let you. It's kind of a subtle thing, but if they won't even let you know what bank accounts there are, or if in some ways like they always hold that over you that like they have the finances, I consider that to be toxic.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. Well, because they use that as their ultimatum to get whatever they want.
Right, and they know they can kind of keep you trapped essentially.
Yeah.
We had I did a TikTok live the other day, and this woman said basically she's in a terrible relationship and she doesn't know how to get out because her husband controls all the finances. She doesn't know where the bank accounts are, or whatever. And I was like, do you not know? Like, can you not like get the mail? Like at least like start looking through, like little things like can when he's not there, and I know this is like sound like invasion of privacy, but it's your house too. Go through his office and find out this information. Like there has to be a way for you to start getting this information and saving it and then going to lawyers and trying to like start to protect yourself because he has kept her under this fear that she will be broke. And it's terrifying and it's this terribly toxic environment.
Well, we're hoping that sharing all of these small points won't lead to a situation like that. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to victim blame here, but saying like
No.
there's probably a lot of things that were overlooked that were also toxic, and now there's this situation. So we want to prevent we want to prevent big blow up toxic behaviors by noticing the smaller ones that are still toxic earlier on. It's like preventative care for anything. Your mic's off.
I didn't even realize my microphone was off. Oops. I would have just kept talking.
I know, I almost let you.
Yeah, that would have been funny if I just like talked for like 30 seconds and you're like, the reason there's 30 seconds of silence is because Adam was talking with his microphone off this entire time and he's too dumb to even realize it.
Oh god. You smiled too, like, oh, I'm here. Ha ha ha.
I think we were kind of wrapped up with almost all these. There's two more that I want to talk about. One is if they're not willing to communicate like at all, it's just every time you try to talk to them, they get defensive or they say there's nothing wrong, even though clearly there is, and they won't communicate. That is a sign you can't just accept. You have to be like, okay, we need to work on this. There has to be something, and you can't keep harping on them because they're just going to like turn off as well. So there has to be something that either you have to take drastic steps or they have to see a therapist. Something has to be done. And I think that can be a very tricky situation. But if you're in a relationship where someone will not communicate with you, that is not a healthy relationship, and you don't need to put up with that type of being shut out of the healthy aspects of an emotional relationship.
Yeah. Another one is that they don't like any of your friends or family. I don't know if we had touched
Yeah, we
on
didn't
that.
really talk. Yeah, if they don't like your friends or family or anything you like to do, like any like the things you like to
Everything
go do,
you do sucks.
Yeah.
Your family sucks, your friends suck, everybody around you. I'm the only good person in your life. They're trying to keep you in that chokehold of you suck and the only good thing is me. So I'm just going to keep you down and make you believe that that's true so you never leave me.
Yes. And that actually brings us to the very final thing I was going to say about this, which works out pretty well. Well done. Is that if you're listening to some of these things and you're thinking, oh yeah, we do have some of these elements, but I'm so scared of being alone and I'm so scared of being like in being a single person that I'm willing to put up with it, then you're toxic. And that is toxic behavior on your part. Like your intense fear of being alone is something that people are going to use, that abusers are going to continue to use against you until you can stop being codependent and understand how to be a healthy, independent adult. And so that's a toxicity you have to work on yourself.
I think a little bit of a fear is okay because it's scary transitioning from being in a relationship to being single. But you're talking an intense fear of crippling anxiety that you cannot be alone.
Well,
or
yeah, if
everything
you're
will
unwilling,
crumble.
if you're unwilling to actually make the hard truth of walking away from a toxic relationship because you'd rather be in a toxic relationship than be single, then you're part of the problem in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And not realizing that the toxic relationship is worse than being single and you're still going to stay in the toxic relationship, that's an issue.
100%. And I think that most people who have been in that situation and have finally escaped and have realized how nice it is to be an adult who can do what you want and be independent and not worry about your choices being mocked or whatever, will tell you that it's the right choice to make. So that's when you need to start looking at therapy and looking at the toxicity that you have to unpack within yourself.
I think from some of my friends who have experienced toxic relationships, they're always like, fuck, why did I stay as long as I did?
Right.
Fuck, like if I could go back and tell my younger self, like, go now, you know,
I
you
could
were thinking
turn back time. I don't know
you're
why.
gonna sing today.
Just channeled a little share there.
You want to do Britney next? Sing Toxic?
Yeah, it's toxic. No, see, I can't remember the lyrics, but I know you know the lyrics.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
We can do a few seconds of it without getting penalized. Come on, let's hear a little toxic.
The taste of your lips, I'm on a ride. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Perfect. We get some Cher and some Britney.
Perfect. Well, if you are enjoying our terrible singing and all of our advice that isn't terrible, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and follow our podcast on Spotify. Were you not finished yet, Adam?
Well, I thought we should talk about the takeaways before we dive in.
I felt like clearing it with music, and then that was just a good.
I just thought that maybe people might be saying, "Well, I am toxic. What is there? Like, can we solve it? Can we fix it?" And I thought that'd be the good final thing to say, that if you are in a toxic relationship and both of you are willing to talk about it and work on it together, yes, you can fix some toxicity. You can both work on things together, especially if it's something that's ingrained from, an old relationship or old baggage that the other person's willing to discuss and actually go to therapy over, or work out in other ways, develop tools for both of you to work on together. But in most cases, if it's toxic, it means that one person is probably the more toxic of the two and is unwilling to even work on themselves, in which case it's just like a red flag in which they would walk away. But yes, it can be fixed sometimes, but be ready to make that hard choice. Yes, to make that hard choice of walking away.
Yeah, you can spend a lot of time and energy in therapy trying to make it work, but at the end of therapy, you could realize it's not going to get fixed, and that's okay too.
Right. So that was just the final thing I wanted to say. It was just that little element, because I feel like that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah.
But and hey, and now if you actually have questions about the episode that you want clarification on, you can call the DKS helpline at 407-519-0181, and we may choose your question to air and give our thoughts on it as well.
Or story, or thanks for listening moment,
Yes. Sarah just wants thanks. She doesn't want any.
I want it all, but I know it's not going to be. I don't know.
I think we'll get some good questions. I really do feel like we'll get some good questions. And by the way, if I haven't mentioned, if you are calling from like a foreign country or somewhere else, like somewhere that we might not be familiar with, things are a little different there. Feel free to explain that as well. Give us some context for your question too.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you are watching on YouTube, feel free. I'm just going to cut this out. What am I saying right now?
This is all going to the video, but what are you saying exactly?
You can watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/ Oh my God, I'm fucking.
You can watch us on YouTube. Sarah doesn't even have to read this time, and she's still fucking.
I know this one. I'm like, I didn't like that transition. I was gonna stop and start. It's fine.
You can watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/datingkindasucks. You can follow us on Instagram at datingkindasucks, and you can email us at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com.
You can follow us on our personal TikToks. I'm done. Adam's is at Adam Heath and mine is at simply Sarah G _. You know what it is? I'm fucking sweating my ass off.
Oh, I am too. I
am literally dying, and I just
you can take your.
I just want to take
shirt off, but you're wearing a sports thing.
I'm wearing a sports bra. I'm literally sweating, and I'm like, what is the temperature in the house? Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm like overheated. I'm out of water. Everything sucks.
If you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, you can join at facebook.com/group/DK. Wow, I'm having trouble too.
I'm sorry, I rubbed off on you.
You did. Facebook.com/group/DKS podcast, which is usually actually in our in our little list
Description.
here, and somehow it's not. Somehow Sarah didn't include it when she did the agenda.
I copy pasted from past ones, so I don't know what happened.
If you do enjoy the podcast and even all these fuck ups, you can support us on Patreon for $5 a month. Your support actually helps quite a bit. It's patreon.com/DKS podcast. And is there anything else that we need to say?
We're a little toxic and outroing this out today.
We are a little toxic. And once again, the phone number for the DKS hotline is 407-519-0181.
We need a jingle for that. 407-519-0181. I don't know.
There we go. We have one now.
I kept thinking of something and I was like, well, you know.
We might have to come up with something like that. Otherwise, we'll be back ideally next week with a brand new episode. If all things go to plan, we will see. But thank you for joining us.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.